Welcome back. We're still talking to Kayla and Andrew from Education Trust. You know, one of the recommendations in the report to increase equity is recruitment of students who started their higher ed experiences at community colleges. You know, don't some of these programs already exist in some of the states?
Yeah, they exist, but the existing research really tells us that many of these schools are not going to the high schools or the community colleges where Black and Latino students are enrolled. And so what we do see is that many of these institutions continue to visit some of the predominantly white high schools and some of the high schools where wealthier students attend, and they're kind of ignoring schools in predominantly Black neighborhoods or where predominantly Latino folks live as well. And they're certainly not going to the community colleges in ways that they should. And so part of it is, you know, that they simply aren't really putting in the effort, and it could be for various reasons. It could be simply doing what they've always done, or it could be, you know, financial constraints. You know, there certainly is a financial component to this in terms of, you know, do they have the resources? And we think these particular colleges do, but it's about will and commitment as well.
I think where those programs exist, there aren't often goals, mandates, and consequences that make these institutions put in the effort that Drew was describing.
Okay, so let's talk about affirmative action and what's happening in California, and what role does this play in decreased enrollment for Black students?
We know that California is one of the 9 states that does have a ban on affirmative action. And we know that kind of race-conscious admissions is what's going to be needed to really move the needle. And a lot of institutions are really scared to do this. If you look at the data, you see many colleges don't use race in a prominent way in their admissions decisions. And we think that a role of rolling back those statewide bans would help, because the federally, you know, the Supreme Court has said that you can certainly use affirmative action. So I'll let Kayla jump in if she wants to add some things.
So I think that what's happening in California is unique for sure. They are they're the only state right now that has a vote, or will have a vote on rescinding their affirmative action ban, and that's an amazing opportunity for citizens to weigh in on what they believe is right. I think what makes it truly unique and an opportunity to advance equity is that the state board has already come out in support of affirmative action, because they know that lifting the ban will allow them to be able to enroll and actively recruit and consider race within their admission strategies, because we've seen not only in California but in other states with bans that it does adversely impact the enrollment of Black and Latino students.
Yeah, and to add one more thing, a lot of states have tried to implement what they call income-based affirmative action. And what we've seen in the data is that these, you know, strategies aren't working in the way that race-based affirmative action was. And so you know, really have to pivot back and focus exclusively, or more exclusively, I should say, on race, because just doing income itself isn't going to work.
When we come back, more with Kayla and Drew of Education Trust.